Every good driver knows that it's unsafe to jump into a car in the morning without checking the state of the vehicle. That is, taking the time to check if the tires are properly inflated, coolant and fuel levels are okay, and mirrors and other important things properly set. The reason is that anything could have gone wrong the last time the vehicle was used, and so it's safe to check if all is fine before your next use. The same goes for our health and even our spiritual experiences. Such checks provide the opportunity for reflections, refocusing, and renewal. The reality is that in this life, anything that has life can die. Hence the need to constantly renew experiences and to refocus so you don't rust in your run to your dreams. In the example of a car, it's a fairly easy routine, but it's not as easy in the case of a person's life. The question is, how do you go about regularly checking something as complex as your walk in life's journey, which never goes according to plan anyway? One of the certainties about life is that nothing is certain. Someone said the other day that life is what happens outside your plan. So how do you check the state of your progress in life's journey? I'm reflecting on that in this episode of Wisdom Diary. One of the simplest ways to do such a check is to regularly find time to ask yourself, who am I? I call it the basic life question because the answers that rush at you if you try to respond to that question always force you to reflect on 4 key things which are important in defining your position or where you are and your direction in life. First, it forces you to reflect on where you're coming from, which is a fundamental part of life. In fact, anybody who forgets his origins can certainly not remember his destination because it always takes knowledge of origin to identify direction. That is why anytime you forget where you're coming from, it's easy to assume you've arrived when in fact you may be just a little distance from where you left off or very far from where you're going. Secondly, answering who am I also helps you come to terms with what you've been through, which is key in calibrating your endurance level or what you can cope, therefore how to choose your battles and also how to count your blessings. Both the failures and successes which make up what you've been through ultimately help you appreciate or decode what you are made of, which is the third important answer you derive when you ask yourself, who am I? Knowing what you are made of shapes your self-worth and self-esteem, which are extremely key in relationships and encounters on the way to the top. For instance, if you know you are made of steel, you will have no business envying the looks of ceramics which are made of clay. It's only an ignorant cheetah that will be jealous of the speed of an antelope. Genuinely answering the question, who am I, brings up crucial reflections on where you're going and the progress you've made. In life's journey, sometimes you may have slowed down unknowingly, missed your bearing, drifted off course, or completely misaligned your priorities in relation to your goals in the midst of the many competing attractions that we all have to juggle each day. The danger in such an instance is that often you might carry the illusion of going somewhere because of the progress you might feel you are making, though you may be busy drifting away from shore into danger somewhere in the high seas. Anybody who is busy in a journey that is taking him where he shouldn't be is yet to start his journey. But there's a temptation to avoid. Whenever you ask yourself, who am I? The answers that will come will either originate from your painful past, made up of your failures, or past of pleasure, made up of your successes. Always avoid the temptation of defining who you are based entirely on answers you can generate from your painful past, because that has discouraged many. When you draw answers from your painful past, rather use the pain to measure your tenacity in the face of adversity, because it is an indication of how far you can go. Also choose to turn your answers from your painful moments into an inner driving force instead of a definition of your weakness. Check around you and you may notice that Every outstanding athlete has an inner driving experience, some a painful past or a need to prove something. Anybody who lacks a driving force within lacks what it takes to keep going when it begins to hurt in the journey to your dreams. Also remember that if all you do is to dwell on your pleasure past, you will end up tickling yourself and fall short in the face of today's realities. Always draw humility and tenacity from your painful past, but be assured by your past wins to know that you can do it, and so you keep pushing. Each time you stand in the mirror to check on yourself, don't forget to also check on what defines you by finding answers to the question, who am I? Whilst doing that, remember that in your walk to your dreams, your step in the right direction will never take you to the left. So keep up your steps to the right if that is where your goal lies. Thanks for watching this episode, and please remember to subscribe to our channel for more from our production crew. God bless you.